Hello, I hope you are well. In this video we will see what is the coolest thing that a science teacher has done. This video is brought to you by the Question Response channel, the channel where you will find the answer to everything. Thanks to Ryan Ellis, David Ecale, Martin Chella and Brian Johnson for sharing their views with us. Let's go for Ryan Ellis's first answer.
This is quite a funny one. One day, a student walked up to Mr. Anon. He asked, "What would you do if I aced the final?" "What do you want me to do?" "Light your hand on fire. Only if you ace it." He aced the final, and the next day, the science teacher got out this chemical that they use for fire in movies, and lit his hand on fire. What a legend.
What do you think? We will continue with David Ecale's answer.
Toss the classroom texts and lesson plan out the window. Here's the story. Our regular freshman HS physics instructor was very sick and took time off to go to the hospital. A substitute teacher was assigned. But he was no ordinary substitute. He was an airline pilot on the beach. Business being slow, he had been laid off by his airline. Anyway, he took a look at our planned assignments and went, "Yecch. You kids have to study this? I have a better idea. Let's talk about something that I like. How jet engines work." The next 2 weeks were heaven. The class was mesmerized. We, or, at least, I, learned enough in those 2 weeks to pay for the terrible boredom and utter nonsense for the rest of the school year in that otherwise less than useless class. Even now, one half a century later, I can envision that class and the drawings on the blackboard. And, after some years in the USAF, I also have an ear tuned to the pitch and volume of specific aircraft engines. P.S. The night after the 9/11 attacks, all commercial aircraft were grounded. At 11 p.m., we were awakened by the scream of jet engines overhead. Myso jumped up in fear. I responded, "It's okay. Those are GEF 100 engines. It's the Air Guard's F-16s. Go back to sleep." She was finally mollified when the local TV news announced the same thing the next morning. Thanks substitute teacher for the start of a love affair with aircraft engines.
The following answer is from Martin Chella.
Not exactly a scientific answer, but 11 years ago, I had a Canadian physics teacher called Julie Avon. Her profile I managed to dig up. Share your knowledge and practices. Closing parenthesis. Always positive and always supportive. Our physics class was a rowdy bunch, but we still listened to her calm demeanor. I wasn't really a performing student either. She was fantastic in teaching. However, there was one thing that piqued our interest. She had huge arms, and for a tiny teacher like her, her massive arms stood out. One particular day, my Welsh classmate decided to pop the magic question during her class. "Miss Avon, why do you have huge arms?" The whole class became silent, listening attentively, patiently waiting for her answer. "Oh, well, I used to do bodybuilding," she replied, confidently. The whole class gasped, in a good way of course. "Can you do chin-ups?" The exciting prospect of a muscular physics teacher never came to our thought. Yes, I could. I used to be able to on the door edges, but not anymore. The class erupted in a mix of awes and laughter. Some had disbelief written over their faces. The Welshman, with his straightforward persona, pestered her again. "Can we see chin-ups now?" She humbly shook her head and calmly refused. "No, I'm actually injured and still recovering. But maybe after the exams are over I can show you something amazing." Fast forward to after exams. She upheld her promise with the most amazing thing we've seen a physics teacher had done. More than a dozen effortless one-thumb push-ups with her other hand behind her back. Defying the laws of physics teachers. Edit. Wow, 1K plus votes. Thanks a lot, guys. Unfortunately, I lost contact with her, but this answer prompted me to find her whereabouts now.
The next answer is from Brian Johnson.
My high school chemistry class was, by far, the most unruly class that I have ever encountered. It really wasn't my teacher's fault. He was an old veteran and an excellent, dedicated teacher, but rather a weird mashup of students that simply could not pay the slightest attention or, at least, be respectfully quiet. In my 10 years of teaching, I have never seen anything quite like it. One day at the beginning of class, my chemistry teacher stood at his desk and, as usual, attempted in vain to begin his lecture and get my classmates' attention. On this day, however, something was different, and I, for one, was paying attention. On the corner of his desk there was a large, out-of-place coffee can. If you're not familiar with what I mean, it looks something like this. After about 5 minutes of the class ignoring him, my chemistry teacher calmly walked over to the coffee can, fiddled with it for a moment, and then returned to his former position, stoically looking out over the class. A thin stream of flame poured up from the lid, and my teacher stood nonchalantly watching over the class until the can exploded, engulfing much of the front of the room in a huge fireball. He didn't so much as flinch, and immediately continued his lecture on electron orbitals, the hydrogen atom, and why hydrogen is flammable to a silent, captivated class.
The video is over. Thank you for staying until the end. I hope the video has you more. If so, you can subscribe and activate the bell to miss any video. Also remember to leave a like. We are coming to the end of this video. You can continue the debate on this question in the comments with the community. See you soon.